What up? What up? What's happening, YouTube? It's your boy D, K.O.V TV. I hit you with another video. I had some time on my hands, so I said, why not put out some work? Why not be consistent with it? I've been trying to get more consistent with my workout. I'm gonna try to get more consistent with this. So, excuse me, I have the time. Let's get to it. This video is pretty much going to talk about me going from being a JW to the military. I'm currently in the military. I still have my other businesses, which is junk removal and my massage practice. But for those of you that do not know my background, I grew up as a born-in Jehovah's Witness. So basically, my parents were Jehovah's Witnesses. And I was born into the organization, right? So I didn't grow up celebrating Christmas and other holidays and birthdays and things of that sort. I didn't participate in a lot of things like my prom. I didn't participate in sports in school. A lot of things that they're allowed to do now, they couldn't do back then when I was growing up, right? So some things have changed, but primarily the meat and potatoes of the organization is the same. So again, I was a born-in Jehovah's Witness, and I never thought about going into the military, right? Or law enforcement. I'm gonna talk more about the military than law enforcement, but I will bring up law enforcement because that's been my career for so long. But again, growing up as Jehovah's Witness, it's a very strict organization. It's a very closed-minded organization, and an organization that is you do what you're told to do and don't ask questions. If you just do what you're told to do, listen to some men in upstate New York that run everything, you'll do fine. You'll be happy. You'll be satisfied. Your life will be successful in their minds, right? So I was not that kind of kid. I didn't have a problem with instructions. I didn't have a problem following things, but when I thought things were kind of like didn't make any sense, or I thought things were unfair, I was the kind of person that I said, screw that, I'm doing my own thing. And it got me in trouble a lot growing up. Not crazy trouble. Like I didn't get arrested. I didn't have a record. I didn't, beat up on people. I didn't, I didn't sell dope. I didn't, get a whole bunch of girls pregnant at a young age. I wasn't, doing no breaking and entering. I wasn't doing criminal activities or doing stuff that would get other people in trouble, right? I was just doing normal teenage dumb kid stuff, right? But with that being said, a lot of things I wanted to do didn't really align with that organization. I'm not gonna say with God because God and that organization sometimes are on two different playing fields. But I'm gonna say with that organization. So for me, within the parameters that my parents allowed me to have, I like to do my own thing, right? I want to dress a certain way. I want to live a certain way. I want to talk a certain way. I want to just be a regular kid, be a regular teenager. And with that, I did what I want to do, right? Within parameters. But there are certain things I knew that I couldn't do, right? So I want a job in law enforcement growing up. I knew that was out the question unless I left the organization. I knew that I wasn't really into the military. I really wasn't. Like I know some people that used to play like COD, Call of Duty, and that were Jehovah's Witnesses, and they liked that stuff. I wasn't a big gamer. I had games, I played games, but that wasn't my stilo. You know what I mean? So I didn't really mess with that too much. So the military, even though I knew back then they would come into the schools and show you what they offer and stuff like that, and I thought they had some good programs. I thought like education wise, if I decided to go to school, I know my parents didn't have money to pay for school. I thought that'd be a good option, but it really wasn't an option for me as a Jehovah's Witness because they don't pick sides. They stay neutral. What I mean by stay neutral is they will not go to war. So like, let's say for instance, we go to war with China, or we went to war with Iran or Iraq. Any Jehovah's Witnesses here is not going to be in the military. And then any Jehovah's Witnesses there will not be in the military. So it will never be a Jehovah's Witness fighting another Jehovah's Witness. It might be a Catholic fighting a Catholic, it might be a Baptist fighting a Baptist, or a Muslim fighting a Muslim, but it won't be a Jehovah's Witness on America fighting a Jehovah's Witness in China or Iran or wherever of the country that we have issues with, right? So because they stay out of political things, supposed to be, right? And we're gonna get into that too because that's not true. But anyway, yeah. So growing up, I could see myself leaving, but I didn't see myself going into the military. That was never really on my agenda. I don't even know if becoming a witness, or I should say this, I don't know if even if I wasn't a witness, I would have went to the military. Um, it just wasn't. I had family members that were in the military, but it wasn't really pushed. You know what I'm saying? Education was pushed. Getting a good job, of course, is pushed, but military was never really pushed. Even my grandfathers that were in the military or uncles that were in, they never really pushed it. They said, you can go. They kind of was like, we'll tell you what we experienced, but nobody really pushed it, right? So everything when it came down to my decision in joining the military was really on me. I had insight for certain branches that, like I said, family members that were in say, look out for this, look out for this for recruiters, look out for this, dealing with the process. But nobody really forced my hand. Um, nobody like in my immediate family, like my father or my grandfather, gave me insight. It was more like my cousins or uncle or family member through marriage that said, "Hey, I was in. You should look for this. You should look at this." So it wasn't nobody like really bloodline to me that encouraged me to go that route. So going from being a Jehovah's Witness to going into the military is like two completely opposite sides. Um, I grew up again being very neutral. Um, not never really thought that the military was bad because I figured we need a military to protect the citizens. I just never pictured myself being that person. I never pictured myself putting on that uniform. And life has a thing. Life's right. Life changes. Circumstances change, and last couple of years I was making decent money. I had my business going, but last year I took a hit, and I was like, man, I need to do something, right? Because you got kids, you gotta have benefits, right? Something always happens. Like my son just stepped on a nail the other day, had to go to the doctor. So something always happens, right? So I said I need to have benefits. You can't go without benefits. Of course, you need to have income. You can get income anywhere, and like now I'm thinking about, my kids are young. I'm thinking about their education for the future. So I had to throw ideas in my head, and I said, what can I kind of accomplish everything? Get a steady check, make sure my benefits taken care of for my family, and have education put aside for them, or a way to access education, and possibly for myself, I decided I'm gonna go back to school, and everything checked out with the military. So I decided to make. Sorry about that. My phone is keep going off, but I thought the military checked off every box. So when I finally decided to make the decision to enlist, because I'm not an officer in the military, I'm just an enlistment on the enlistment side. Um, it was a lot of stipulations that I put on myself. You know what I mean? Like I haven't been a Jehovah's Witness for 12 years now. Um, 11, 12 years, something like that. For the second time I've been out with the organization. But there's certain things within that organization that it puts a hold on you. Not physically, but mentally. There's certain things that when I first left that organization that was still with me. Like I wouldn't partake in celebrating holidays. Um, I wouldn't. I try not to use profanity because that's against their rules. There was just certain things that I just kind of had a hold on me, right? And I tried to shake it. I tried to, let certain things go. But when you're born into something, right, and you go under that influence day in, day out. I mean, it's not like just on Sundays you're a Jehovah's Witness. You're a Jehovah's Witness 7 days a week. Just like if you're part of the military, you're a military member. Even if you're off that day, you're still a military member. If you're a cop and you're off on vacation, you're still a cop, right? So even though I may not be going to their organizational meetings, I'm still a Jehovah's Witness. Maybe I'm just an extra Jehovah's Witness. I'm just casted out. You know what I'm saying? So there's certain things that mentally just stuck with me, just to stay with me, and it took years, probably almost 10 years, almost a decade, for me to actually push forward with certain things. Like for years, my wife couldn't bring a Christmas tree into the house. She slowly worked it on me, and I'm appreciative of how she operated. Um, she didn't challenge me too much on it, but it took years because it was so much mental damage that I feel they do to you. You know what I mean? You think everything is bad, everything is against you, everything is Satan, everything's the devil, and it's not. It's just life. You know what I mean? And they put a lot of these organizations, they put a fear in you, right? A fear you don't go to heaven, a fear you won't, in their eyes, won't go to, they call it paradise. And fear. The problem is, for me, is I worked in corrections. I deal with killers. I deal with murderers. I deal with rapists. And then I joined the military, where it's a war fighting organization where we can kill somebody and they can kill us. So when you start being in those environments, right, and around those type of people that don't really have that same fear of death, it starts to wear on you. So you start to not have a fear of death. You have a healthy fear of death, like no, it's a possibility this can happen, but you don't live your everyday life in fear. You're just aware. You're super aware of your surroundings. So for me, when my parents would ask me, "Hey, are you gonna come back to the organization?" I was in a way fearful, like, well, Armageddon, that's what they call it. Armageddon can come any day now, right? I should probably go back. But as time went on and I started living my life and enjoying my life and seeing my family enjoy life and my kids enjoy life without having that stress on them of making several meetings every day or every week, I start to relax. You know what I'm saying? And the fear of death, like I said, working in a prison, working in the military, I don't really have that same fear of death. Not that I'm not aware that people die in law enforcement, people die in the military, but you don't live your life in fear. So now, like, they keep talking about Armageddon. If it comes, it comes, and I gotta talk to God when that time comes, and I gotta answer for what I've done. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm not gonna live in fear, and I feel that, is my personal opinion, I feel that He sees my heart, and that's ultimately what matters. You know what I mean? I don't care what you do for work. I don't care, you know, what you do in your personal life. As long as you're not hurting nobody, you know what I'm saying, and hurting your kids, hurting your spouse, hurting your girlfriend, boyfriend, hurting people in general, or what you do puts people in a position to lose their life, like be a drug dealer or something like that. Um, do you? You know what I'm saying? God sees your heart. God sees your intention. God sees why you're doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're doing stuff just to make it to ends meet. It may not be the most legit way or legal way, but you're doing what you gotta do to survive. And nowadays it's very hard to survive. I'm not condoning the action, but I understand. And God understands. God gave us understanding, right? So if we have understanding at a human level, what do you think God has at a astronomical level? You understand what I'm saying? So I never saw myself going into the military, but it was a way to help my family and for me to meet certain goals that I have, right? God understands that. God sees my heart. God knows I didn't come in the military because I just want to blow people's heads off. God knows I didn't come in the military just to hurt people, just to be a terror, just to be a tyrant. You know what I'm saying? He knows that it was a way to help my family to elevate, to build up. You know what I'm saying? A way for me to reach my goals. You know what I mean? So it's your intention. What's your intention? You know what I'm saying? What's your intention through your life? What's your intention on your job? What's your intention, with your spouse or the person you're dating? You know what I'm saying? Is it just to have sex with that person, or is it to actually build a relationship? You know what I'm saying? what's your intention? Intentions is damn near everything. You know what I'm saying? Are you becoming friends with somebody just because they have influence or they have a good network or they have money? Or you genuinely care about this person, you like this person, your energy is strong together and y'all build together and you really care about that person. You know what I'm saying? What's the intention? So my intention going to the military was to provide for my family in a better sense, right? And take certain stresses off me because now I don't have to worry about medical. Medical is free for my family. I don't got to worry about housing. You know what I'm saying? They give me a housing allowance. So certain things I want to do with my family, hey, the biggest things, the most expensive things for a family is housing and medical. That's taken care of. So now I can really focus on my family, right? Now I can focus on other business ventures I want to do that can help build my family up faster. You know what I mean? So that was my intention, right? But going into the military, going to boot camp, going into my training for my job in the military, I always had to go back to being a JW. I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Because like I said before, as a JW, you're neutral. So that fear, and it comes in waves sometimes. Sometimes I don't think about it, I'm fine. But with my first week in boot camp, I thought about it a lot. I said, what if Armageddon comes? What is the end of the world? And I'm in a military warfighting organization and God sees me and now I got to speak to God at this time. Or, what if I graduate? Now I'm officially a sailor, officially in the military, and now Armageddon comes and I got to speak to God. And that was a huge, huge concern for me. But at the end of the day, I had to look at it like I made so many poor decisions in my life. This is actually a decision I'm kind of proud of, that I can actually protect my family. You know what I'm saying? Serve my community, serve the people that don't even know I'm serving them. You know what I'm saying? And I had to take my viewpoint of the negative and turn it into a positive. And look at it in an aspect of there are always going to be people that dislike your decision. And if you try to live your life to try to please people, you will always be broke. You will be uneducated. You will be unhealthy because you're always trying to please and serve everybody else, but not trying to take care of yourself and those people that matter. So I had to put that in the forefront of my brain and say, okay, you know what? There's people that are not going to like this decision. It's okay. There's people that may not talk to me because I made the decision. It's okay. The people that matter are the people that I'm doing this for, my children. When I put that uniform on, and my children, I get their warm embrace, their hugs, and I see their smiles, and I see them. That's my dad. That's who I do it for. You know what I mean? So the people that are haters, the people that you shouldn't be doing this, so it don't matter. T.I., the rapper, said he read a book called The Art of Not Giving Up. You know what I mean? And I had to take that into my mindset. With the people that don't matter, why do I care what they think? They're not providing for my kids. They're not putting food on the table for them. They're not providing transportation for them or a roof over their head. So why should I care what they think? People always want to talk about you, right? If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. Okay? I've always had people that dislike me for whatever reason. And I used to care. And that's what I look back in my life. I'm like, why do I care so much? I don't even talk to these people no more. These people don't even know where I live at. I don't know where they're at. You know what I'm saying? They might be on the other side of the world. Why do I care? You know what I mean? So I got to a point in my life, I'm getting to a point. It's a growing process that I don't care. Not that I don't care about people, not that I don't care about my family, but people that have a negative influence, always pointing fingers, always saying you should be doing this, you should be doing that ain't doing nothing shit with their life. I don't care. I don't care. You know what I mean? So you people that are exjws or coming out or you're still in but unsure, you have to get to a point in your life where you don't care no more. And I'm not saying it's easy because it's not. I'm not saying it's not a challenge because it is. I'm not saying that your family gonna look at you sideways because they are. You know what I'm saying? I look at myself as the black sheep. You know what I'm saying? But the crazy part about it is everything that my parents tried to steer me away from, I went to and I've done better for myself. They encouraged me to go in corrections. I bought a house at 25. My pops didn't buy a house at 25. He didn't buy a house till his 30s. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have no assistance and putting down for my house. My family did. You know what I'm saying? My parents did. I bought one of my dreaming cars at 20, 26, 27. My pops didn't buy his dream car at 26, 27. You know what I'm saying? So he drove nice cars, so he worked in the car dealer. He worked at the car dealership. You know what I mean? I didn't work at a car dealership. You know what I mean? So, and then like even now, you know what I'm saying? There's certain things that I've done, and my dad's an elder in that organization. He's asked me, say, hey, how you do this? Or why'd you do this? Or like financial things. Why you make this move? Why you make that move? You know what I'm saying? You supposed to be teaching me. Why are you learning from somebody that's worldly? Why are you learning from somebody that's not a witness no more? You know what I mean? So obviously they might have pushed me in another direction, and I chose a different direction. But even though they didn't push me in the direction I thought they should have pushed me, I chose to make that decision myself. And now the direction that they chose not for me to do, now they're asking me questions. Well, how'd you do this? Or how'd you get that done? Because I did listen to you. And not all the time that works out. I'm not gonna say all the time that works out. But in my situation, it did. You know what I'm saying? I could have never bought a house doing what they're doing. Would never happen. You know what I'm saying? The plans that he wanted me to do, no, wasn't gonna happen. And don't get me wrong, I had some bumps along the way. And, you know, with that mentality, I was like, oh, maybe Satan is kicking in. You know, maybe God's not approving of what I'm doing. And it had nothing to do with God. It had nothing to do with Satan. It had to do with me. I had to reflect on what I was doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? There's choices every day that we make. Think about it. Every day that you wake up, you could choose to take somebody's life. You can take a gun, choose to take somebody's life. Every day you wake up, you choose to take your own life. You know what I'm saying? Every day you wake up, you choose not to eat. You can choose not to drink water. You can choose not to work out. You can choose to get fat. You can choose to stay in shape. Every day you have thousands of choices that you make. That it's just, I can choose not to smell good. I could choose not to take a shower. I could choose not to put deodorant on. I could choose not to brush my teeth. It's a choice. Every day we make choices. You know what I'm saying? Some make better choices than others in their 24 hours. That's the only really difference between a lot of wealthy people and poor people. They choose not to get on heroin. They choose not to smoke weed all day. They choose not to indulge in a whole bunch of sex with a whole bunch of the women. They choose not to beat on their spouse. They choose to be around their kids. They choose to go to work instead of skipping out of work. They choose to stay away from the casino rather than go to the casino. They choose to eat the celery and the lettuce and the broccoli rather than eat the honey bun and the donut and the pizza. It's a choice. You know what I'm saying? Their skin is better. Their muscle tone is better because they're not making certain choices. Or they are making certain choices. You know what I mean? So every day is a choice. I decided to make certain choices. I decided to leave that organization. I decided that it wasn't for me. You know what I'm saying? The first time I got kicked out, I really didn't choose to leave. They kicked me out. The second time, I made choices that put me in that same position, and they kicked me out again. But I could have made a choice to come back, and I chose not to. I saw that the benefits of my life were better not being a part of the organization. I felt healthier, and I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally. I felt healthier not being in an organization. I felt I had more soundness of mind not being in an organization. I felt my mindset was clearer. I felt my heart was more pure not being in that organization. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? Some people say the opposite. You know what I'm saying? My mother said the opposite. She needs to be in that organization. She feels God's spirit. That's cool. That works for you. It didn't work for me. Same bloodline. It didn't work for me. But I'm not going to treat her no different just because I see the world differently. And she shouldn't treat me no different just because she sees the world differently. But in that organization, they do. And that's one thing that pulled me away from being a Jehovah's Witness. I got friends that are Muslim. I got friends that are Baptist. I got friends that are other sect of Christians. And they tell me, I don't care what you celebrate. As long as you're not a terrorist, as long as you're not a woman beater, as long as you're not smoking and doing dope, I don't care what you believe. You still my dog. You still my boy. You still my homie. You can have a different belief. Where that's what America is. It's full of different people, different beliefs. You're allowed to. It's a free country. You know what I'm saying? If we couldn't have difference of opinion, that organization couldn't be in America. You know what I'm saying? It could have never got started here. You know what I mean? So we're allowed to have different viewpoints, and nobody should be judged because they view things differently. You know what I mean? They haven't got there yet in that organization. Will they ever? I'm not sure. I may not be around to even talk about it. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But nah, I mean, it was a transition, but from going from being from being a Jehovah's Witness to the military. But understand this too. I didn't, leave the organization last year and jump into the military this year. Okay, I officially was gone from that organization, I think 2013, and now I got into the military 2025, right? So you're talking about 12 years. 12 years of doing what I want to do, over a decade of doing what I want to do, over a decade of unlearning certain things I was taught, over a decade of doing research on things that I was taught that I found that wasn't true, over a decade of being a normal human being and living my life and enjoying life and understanding that I could be around Muslims and God don't hate me. I could be around people that are atheists. God doesn't hate me. I could be around people that are agnostic. I could be around people that are Catholic. I could be around people that are, Rastafarians. And they don't treat me no different just because I don't see God or see a religion how they see it. They still dap me up. They still, call me up. They still, hey, let's break bread. Just because we're not the same religion. It's who I am. It's who I portray. It's my character. That's why they want to be around me. That's why they choose to hang out with me. Not because of my stance in a religion. They can care less of our religion. As long as I treat them and their home and their family with respect, we good. And it's the same way with me. You know what I mean? It's the same way with me. You come to my home, we break bread. You show my spouse and my children respect and love. It's all love. You know what I mean? And it took me a long time to try to break those chains from that organization. Because, again, they teach you if it ain't part of the brotherhood, it ain't no good. I wasn't trying to rhyme, but it did. But it took me a long time to understand that, hey, not everything is what it seems. And they portray a lot of things as if they're so good, they're better than everybody else. And it's not true. It's just another religion. And once I understood that, it made it easier for my transition to get into the real world. It made it easier for my transition to go into the military. Because I'm like, it's just another organization. And this organization right here is not telling you everything that really goes on within an organization unless you do your research. You know what I'm saying? I've done my research and I was not satisfied with the conclusion. And I said I will never put my name to that again. My name is very important to me. My reputation is very important to me. You know what I'm saying? And being that I have a background in law enforcement, there's certain things that they allow to go on in that organization or they turn a blind eye to that I absolutely will not. And it's going to cause a problem. So for me to not have a problem, not have an issue, let me not be a part of that. Because if I am a part of that, I'm going to put my foot on the gas and press the issue. I know me. And people are not going to like me. People are not going to like that I come back and I'm a terror. And I'm not intentionally trying to be a terror. I just know what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And you're not going to hide some stuff that can hurt people. You know what I mean? And I know about it. I'm not built like that. So I knew for me, and I told this to my parents. My dad's an elder in the organization. So for you guys who don't know, elders, like somebody has kind of rank. I can't come back because there's certain things that I just don't agree with, and it's going to cause a problem. And there's certain things I like in this world that I'm not going to give up. This world's dangerous. I like carrying firearms. I'm not giving that up because I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I refuse to. You know what I'm saying? And they're not allowed to carry firearms like that unless they're shooting to hunt. And I'm not a hunter. So they don't mix. And a lot of things they do is to save face. You know what I mean? They want to look like they're betraying that they're something that they're not. And I'm not with that. Either you are or you not. You know what I'm saying? It's like, when I worked in the prison, either you are tough or you not tough. And if you're not tough and you're trying to portray that you are, you're going to get exposed. Either the inmate's going to expose you or the officer's going to expose you. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what side you're on. If you're an inmate that try to act tough, the officer can tell who's about what and who's not, and the inmates can tell who's about what. And same thing as an officer. The inmates can tell if officers about that life, and the officer can tell if you about that life, or you just talking shit just because you have a uniform on. So, with that being said, I'm not going to fake the funk and try to pretend to be a Jehovah's Witness when my mindset is not to be a Jehovah's Witness. My heart condition is not to be a Jehovah's Witness. My heart's not focused on that. And I told my pops that. I said, listen, that's not what I want to do. So if I do it, I'm doing it to please you guys. So at the end of the day, if I do it to please you guys, I'm going to, at the end of the day, do what I want to do anyway. And I'll tell you what I'm doing. So is that how you want me to live? You want me to live under the lie? You know what I'm saying? And he got quiet. So in my mind, I said, yeah, that's what he wants. I'm not going to do that. Just not. You know what I mean? I won't. I refuse to. You know what I'm saying? I was a correction officer. I stand behind that 10 toes. I'm a United States Navy sailor now. I stand behind that 10 toes. You know what I'm saying? When I was Jehovah's Witness, when I thought it was the right religion, when I thought it was the religion of all be-alls, I stood behind that. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. But as I started to realize they weren't who they portrayed they were, and I started seeing the stuff, the skeletons in the closet, I was ashamed. I was disgusted with the things I found out. And I'm not going to go back to that. I still have a lot of family members that's in. I love them. You know what I'm saying? If they ever see this, I love you. But D ain't going back to that. So if you can't rock with me, it's cool. I'm used to it. I'm used to being a loner. I'm used to being a black sheep. That's nothing new. I'm comfortable in that position. You know what I'm saying? I'm comfortable when I talk to my father. I'm comfortable when I talk to my mom. I'm comfortable when I talk to my grandmother. I'm comfortable when I talk to my brother. It's been like this over a decade. Ain't nothing changed. They talk to me a little bit more now because I have kids and they want to be my kids' life, but that's really what it is. If I didn't have kids, I could be dead under a bridge somewhere. They wouldn't know. You know what I mean? And it's sad. And I know a lot of you guys are going through that same exact thing. And understand that there's I'm gonna end off with this. There's XJW groups that you can be a part of, Facebook groups, Instagram groups. I went to XJW event last summer. I think it was August, September. Great turnout. Met people from Cali, Florida, England, all over the place. So those of you that are leaving, Jehovah's Witnesses, understand there's help. When I left, there wasn't as much help. Now there's help. They help you. There's so many people that help you get a place to stay, find work, get a car. They didn't have that then. Now they had people that started nonprofits to help people that have been communicated from that organization, shunned from that organization. So don't think you're alone. Please don't think you're alone. Please don't think that ending your life or taking your life or whatever, drinking yourself to sleep every night is the answer. It's not. It's not. There's plenty of us that have started our lives over, got new friends, new careers, connected with family that weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, that didn't support that organization, and lock in with them. You know what I'm saying? Lock in. You hit me up on my channel, I'll try to help you and lead you in the right direction. There's other YouTubers that are XJWs that I connected with on that last event. So shout out to them. I'm not gonna put everybody's name out there because there's a lot I've connected with, but they're YouTubers. They do different digital creations and stuff like that. And maybe I'll do some collabs on here. But just know you're not alone. There's a lot of love out in this world. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of love out in this world. And those of you that are looking to leave, you can do it. You can do it. It's just a choice. I love y'all, and I'll see you at the top. One love.